Alright, and we're back with the little AsRock mini PC, the S330 I believe is the model on this. And we're going to go ahead and do the software install. Now, as soon as I plug this in, it should power itself up. I'm going to move it back a little bit, so that way I can actually get to the optical drive, because I suspect it's going to be in the way a little bit. The keyboard will be in the way if I leave it back there. It powers itself on immediately. Let's just make sure it still works. It hasn't died in the time that it's been sitting around. Shouldn't be anything for it to boot to. ISO Linux. Oh, it's got that. It's got my puppy Linux disk in it. Alright, let's pull that out. And we'll Control Alt Delete. And that. And we'll see what it will do. Yeah, it should complain. So what we're going to do first is, well, I'm going to get my Debian 64-bit disk out. Even though I think this only has 2 gigs of RAM in it. Now 4 gigs is pretty much going to be the realistic minimum for this anyway. I'll install 64-bit. Just on the off chance that DDR2 or 8 gigs of DDR2 happens to show up. We'll push enter. And this should be Debian. It should beep at me. It doesn't beep at me. Do not need the graphical install. In fact, I really probably don't even want the graphical install. Oh, we got some interference on the video. Alright. I need to auto adjust because it's not... That's not proper. Nope, that's not correct. Alright, give me a minute, let this boot. I'm actually going to set it up properly. We'll see if it'll actually configure itself for my network once it needs to do so. Scanning CD-ROM. So now it should be reading stuff off of the CD. You can see it doing down there. That LED is fairly bright, the blue one. So I will come back once we have got to a point where something interesting has happened. Network auto configuration failed. Alright, well that's not the end of the world. We will hit continue, configure network manually, and we will put in the IP address that it is going to use. Alright, let's manually partition our disk. So, create new empty partition table. Free space, we're going to make a new partition, create new. New partition size should be 3 gigabytes. Let's make it 4 gigabytes. Just to be on the safe side. The install of Open Media Vault on the other machine, which has been running for a while, is using up about 1.63, so 2 is too small. 4 is probably a bit too big, but I'm going to give it 4 just for some breathing room. Primary partition at the beginning. Mount point slash. Uses X4, reserved blocks, blah. Probably don't need to set the bootable flag, but I might as well set the bootable flag. Should be done. Actually, let's go ahead and label it boot. So that way I know what it is later on. So we're done setting that up. Now we should be able to create a new partition. That should be what? Two gigabytes. At the end. We'll make it primary at the end, and we'll use that as our swap space, swap area. So we're done setting that up, and now right here, create new primary partition. I'm going to mount this Now there's something else. Mounted as /YouTube. Sure. Because that's what this is used for. Is YouTube video storage. Not bootable. Done setting up. Write changes to disk. It's going to ask me again. I want to write those changes. Alright, so now the install process begins. Let's let it install, and then I will come back and begin with Open Media Vault. Alright, it's now rebooted. It's now time to edit our sources. I don't know why it keeps doing this, but this... Oh, it's the camcorder, okay. I was wondering what was making all that noise. Shouldn't be there. Alright. So now... Yeah, it's Open Media Vault keyring, not OMV keyring. Alright. Allow unauthenticated, yes. So, fetched. And it'll install that. And there we go. I should be able to go to apt update and apt upgrade. We'll do that first. Get all the upgrades done. All software upgrades. All packages are up to date. Good. I will install Open Media Vault. And it will ask me to install a whole bunch of crap. Do you want to continue? Yes, of course I do. So now it's going to install that. So I'll come back when it's done. Okay, it's now done with that. So now we need to run this OMV init system thing. Once it's finished its last little bit here. Who knows how long that's going to take. Oh dear. Usually this doesn't take this long. Maybe I shouldn't have started the camera. I should have waited until it went back to... Okay, here we go. OMV init system. So we'll go in and we'll run that. It'll take however long it's going to take. I don't know why it's complaining about that missing firmware. There was another machine that did that. I don't remember which one it was. In fact, it might actually be the one that I'm about to replace. Which I think it is. So I'm going to see if I can figure out that firmware deal. I'm going to reboot it and just make sure that everything is going to start running the way that it's supposed to. Debian GNU Linux. I get to watch it start up here. Very slowly. Because it's not very fast. Then we'll move on to the web configuration. And then we get to do the fun part of transferring all of the files over the machine. I should have unplugged the keyboard. You know? Unplugged the keyboard, made sure it would actually boot without a keyboard plugged in. Although I suspect it will. I think there's a setting for that. There you could see it triggered an NMI up there. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. I suspect that it is, but... because usually NMIs are not good. It's just that there's a hardware problem. Failed to load firmware. Well, whatever. It is there. Alright, let's configure this thing. Alright, let's go ahead over here. And we will admin and open media vault. By the defaults. I'm going to go ahead and change those later. Assuming I don't forget. Okay, so. You can see, yeah, it's 2 gigs of RAM. Atom 330, CPU. All that. Okay. Auto logout, we are turning that off. That's very annoying, I hate that. Save. And apply. Yes. Date and time. Use NTP. poolntp.org. Save. And it'll probably ask me to apply that too. Yes. Apply. Yes. Focus. Doing this step by step. Host name, whatever. Interfaces, whatever. Service discovery, whatever. Probably should disable some of those that I don't want, but I'm going to leave it alone. Notification, I'm going to leave it alone. Power management. Pressing the power button does what? Should be standby. And of course I'll have to transfer all the shell scripts and all of that mess over to the other machine. Fun times. No scheduled jobs, at least not yet. There's power management monitoring. Certificates, don't need to worry about that. Scheduled jobs, don't have to worry about that. Please resynchronize the package index. Whatever. Sure, we'll do that right now. Shouldn't find anything. Then I gotta deal with all the disk setup. That's the fun part. I always hate doing the disk setup because it never works right off the bat. There's always some fiddling that you need to do with it. Nothing. Okay, cool. No plugins, disks. It should be 1. It's right there. Smart. Should be enabled anyway. Sure. All that should be good. We'll apply the changes. Do this step by step. Devices. Monitor. Why is that not being monitored? Save. Yes, I would like that to be monitored. Apply the changes. Scheduled tests, doesn't matter. RAID, we don't have RAID. File systems. Both file systems are present. And functional. And mounted. So, let's see. Is this going to actually work off the bat? Usually it doesn't. Yep, it doesn't. What a piece of junk. So, evidently I'm going to have to do some fighting with this. Alright, unmount it, remount it. Is the at least temporary solution. I am probably going to have to edit the fstab file. YouTube is fine. Oh, the permissions! I love permissions. Isn't that nice? Comment. YouTube offline storage. It's easier to do this when I'm doing the screen capture. I should have just done it that way. That would have been so much easier. Alright, apply the changes. Oh, I'm going to have to make a separate user, aren't I? Yeah. Okay, time to configure server message block, or CIFS, which I believe is Common Internet File System, or Common Internet File Sharing. One of the two. So we'll hit enable. That's fine, that's fine. We don't need local master browser, we don't need home directories, browsable, yes. Log level, I usually set that to normal. Use send files, sure. Asynchronous IO, sure. Save. And it should ask me to apply that. Here in just a second. Yes, apply it. And then I'm going to have to make sure that it is going to work the way that it's supposed to. Alright, shares. Add a share. Select a shared folder. That would be YouTube. Comment. Media! Exclamation points. This is what? Not public. It's not read-only. It is browsable. Inherit permissions and ACLs. Enable the recycle bin. Sure. Let's go ahead and audit file operations. Save. And it should ask me to apply the changes. Yes. I would like to do that. Please. Okay, so now, you gonna work or what? Stop. Let's go to NAS4. See what it does. Okay, username or password is incorrect. Give me just a second. Okay, so I've just verified that yes, it works. So we'll go ahead and we'll map it. Finish. Alright, so there it is. It's now mapped. Oh, there's nothing on it. So now I get to do the incredibly fun thing. Let's go try accessing the old one. Oops. Well, that isn't going to work. It's old NAS4. I'll have to supply a password. Oh, what a mess. Yeah, here comes the fun part. Transferring all that crap over the network. Have a look over here. We should be able to see activity on that server right there. Top one. And over here on the new one. After painstakingly going through and re-adding all of my scheduled tasks, that was a blessing in disguise. It allowed me to rejig all of them. But I think it's time that we shut down. This is the new server, so we'll go ahead and we will shut it down. Come over here and have a look. It's now off. And then go to the old server and go ahead and shut it down. It should beep at me. Yes. So that would be that one on the top there. And it's out. Well, that was stupid. So I had to go in and manually edit the etc fstab file, because apparently, just because it can't mount a non-boot and non-essential to boot partition, it drops into emergency mode. And nothing starts. So, in my book, that's a major deficiency that the Linux people ought to fix. Because that's broken. There's no reason for that. For a non-essential to boot entry in the fstab to drop it to emergency mode regardless, that's dumb. That's insanely dumb. So, alright, whatever. Whatever the case may be, it's up now. You see it there. It's been up for a little bit. I've actually been working on a couple of other things for future videos. You know, I spent all that time getting all of that crap over there set up just the way I wanted it, and I'm going to have to pull it all back out again because one server needs a hard drive replacement, and the other 2 servers are going to be replaced. Maybe even today if I get really lucky, so interesting times in server corner. But, and here's where I'll find that this isn't going to work. The files are all here, everything is there, theoretically, and it should all be working. Go into a video here, just any old video. I don't know why my network does this.
Well, I've got a video that shows my room going through some of its remodeling process. But as it happens, I can't find the other digital camera right now, and I think it's got that video. Most of our chairs around here are the rickety, dangerous kind, that when you try to get comfortable, they try to give you stitches. And so, what we have here is the Staples Presswick chair.
Alright, so it's working. I know the only other thing I gotta do is get it set up on the machine that's on the TV, but I gotta get that computer out anyway because that would need some work too, believe it or not. And the stream encoders. I got a lot of things on my plate today. Probably not gonna get to all of them. Either way, you'll see those in future videos, maybe. Actually, probably all of them. But until then, this is CP666 signing off, and I hope to see you next time. That's all.